Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today because we have some very exciting General Hospital news to talk about, and it's definitely worth the wait. You know, I've been sitting here with my morning coffee thinking about General Hospital again, and I just can't stop smiling about what happened between Kristina and Ethan the other day. Oh, honey. It was one of those scenes that stays with you long after the credits roll. I tuned in on April 20th, expecting just another regular day in Port Charles, but then came this sweet, slightly awkward conversation between Kristina Corinthos Davis and Ethan Lovett. Kristina started opening up about how when she was a little girl, she had such a big crush on him. She remembered it so clearly, like it was yesterday. It took me right back to those innocent years when we were young and our hearts were so full of hope. Watching her face soften as she talked about it made me feel all warm inside. Then Ethan, in that gentle way of his, brought up the time when little Kristina boldly told him she was going to marry him one day. Bless her heart, her cheeks turned pink right there on the screen. She looked so embarrassed, like she wished she could disappear. But Ethan just smiled kindly and said he actually thought it was real sweet. He even admitted that back then he used to wish he was about 5 years older than him. Oh my, the way he said it was so tender and honest, it made me sigh out loud. And right after that, Kristina looked at him and said something that really caught me off guard. She said, well, I'm 5 years older now, but my taste has changed a little bit. I nearly set my coffee down when I heard those words. It felt like such a big, honest moment. Then the conversation turned to Blaze. That's Allison, Allie, Rogers, and how Kristina is single again these days. Ethan gave her this playful little grin and replied in his charming way, well, ain't that just the way life works? You've grown up beautiful, smart, single, and completely not interested in me. They both laughed together, but you could feel there was a little bittersweet feeling hanging in the air. Kristina was very clear that she doesn't want to date him, but she truly wants to be his friend. Still, the whole exchange left me with so many thoughts swirling around in my head. You see, I've followed Kristina's story for many years now, and her heart has always been a complicated one. She's had relationships with men in the past, quite a few of them. But then she developed feelings for her professor, Parker Forsyth, and there was that surprising kiss with Valerie Spencer that left everyone a little stunned at the time. Back in 2018, she had a heartfelt talk with Daisy Kwan and told her she had been bisexual for most of her life. And just last year when she appeared with Perez Hilton, she openly confirmed that she has been living as a gay woman. So when she told Ethan that her taste had changed, it landed in a very real way. Some fans on social media are thrilled that she's being true to who she is. Others feel a little sad because they were secretly hoping for a romantic spark between her and Ethan. I can understand both sides of it. At our age, we know that love and life don't always follow a straight, simple path. Sometimes our hearts surprise us, and sometimes we have to be brave enough to surprise ourselves. What touched me the most was how honest Kristina was in that moment. She didn't try to hide or pretend. She just spoke her truth gently, even though it might have been a little uncomfortable. And Ethan, bless his sweet soul, handled it with such kindness and grace. He didn't get upset or pushy. He just accepted what she said with that warm, good-natured smile of his. It reminded me of the kind of respectful, big-hearted men we used to admire growing up. The ones who know how to listen and still treat you with care. Now I keep wondering what will happen next for these two. Will they really settle into a nice, comfortable friendship, or will those old childhood feelings try to stir up again in some unexpected way? Only the writers in Port Charles know the answer, and they sure do love keeping us guessing. These kinds of stories on General Hospital have a special way of touching real-life emotions, don't they? They make us think about our own journeys, the crushes we had when we were young, the times we had to figure out who we really are, and the courage it takes to be honest with ourselves and with others. At our age, watching characters grow and discover themselves feels both comforting and meaningful. It reminds us that it's never too late to understand our own hearts better. I've been replaying that scene in my mind all morning. It was funny in parts, a little awkward in others, and surprisingly touching all at once. That's what I love about this show. It still knows how to make us feel something real after all these years. Now I'm sitting here with my second cup of coffee, wondering what you dear ladies thought when you watched it. Did Kristina's words surprise you too? Did your heart go out to Ethan just a little bit, or were you proud of Kristina for speaking so honestly? Maybe you felt a mix of both, just like I did. I'd love to know I'm not the only one still thinking about it. These stories have a way of staying with us, don't they? They make our days a little more interesting and our hearts a little fuller. Anyway, I better get back to my day, but I'll definitely be tuning in to see what happens next in Port Charles. These characters feel like old friends now, and I can't wait to see where their journeys take them. I remember watching the April 20th episode and feeling my heart do a little flip when Kristina looked at Ethan and said, well, I'm 5 years older now, but my taste has changed a little bit. It was such a honest, surprising moment. They laughed about it, and Kristina made it clear she wants to stay friends with him, not date him. But oh honey, that one line has had fans talking ever since. What really got me thinking even more was when Kate Mansi, the wonderful actress who plays Kristina, spoke up on X back in August 2024. She had stayed quiet for a while, but then she wrote something that felt very clear and important. She said, if you've really been watching the show, Kristina is a bisexual woman. She wanted everyone to remember that part of her character. I respected her for speaking up like that. It showed how much she cares about getting Kristina's story right. That's why so many of us felt a little confused when the show seemed to go in a different direction. Kristina has had feelings for men in the past, but she's also had real feelings for women too, like with her Professor Parker and that surprising kiss with Valerie. She even told Daisy years ago that she's been bisexual most of her life. So when she told Ethan her taste had changed and she's single again after Blaze, it made some fans wonder if the writers were quietly closing the door on her being bisexual. Still, I've seen so many lovely comments from other viewers my age. Some ladies are holding on to hope that Ethan and Kristina could still have a beautiful love story, you know, the kind that starts as a warm friendship and slowly grows into something deeper and romantic. They say there's still chemistry there, and life in Port Charles has a way of surprising us. Other fans are more excited about the quiet feelings Kristina seems to be developing for Jacinda Bracken. It looks like the show has been gently building something there for a while now. Right now it might feel one-sided just from Kristina's heart, but who knows? Maybe things will change in the future and become mutual. That possibility has a lot of us watching closely too. Of course, not everyone is happy. Quite a few longtime viewers are speaking up and saying they're disappointed. They feel the show is erasing Kristina's bisexuality instead of letting her live it fully. They wanted to see her have a real chance at romance with Ethan, something tender and meaningful after all those years of childhood crush memories. And they're worried the door might be closing for good on that sweet possibility. I have to admit, it makes me think too. At our age, we've seen how stories about love and identity can be handled with care or sometimes rushed through. We know hearts can be complicated. Kristina has always been someone who follows her feelings wherever they lead. And I've always admired that about her character. Whether she ends up with a man or a woman, I just hope the writers let her story feel true and respectful. The good news is, from what we've heard, Kristina and Ethan will still keep in touch no matter what happens. That makes me smile. I like the idea that they can stay friends and support each other through whatever comes next in Port Charles. Maybe their story isn't finished yet. It could still surprise us all. These days, it seems like every new episode brings more questions than answers. Will the writers really keep Kristina's bisexuality as an important part of who she is? Will old sparks between her and Ethan ever try to light up again? Or is her heart quietly turning toward Jacinda in a way that might bloom into something beautiful? Only time will tell, but I know I'll be right here watching every step of the way. What I love most about General Hospital after all these years is how it still makes us talk and feel things deeply. It reminds me that love, self-discovery, and friendship don't have neat endings like in storybooks. They're messy, surprising, and sometimes bittersweet, just like real life. I've been replaying that scene in my mind and reading what other fans are saying. Some are cheering for Kristina's honesty, others are hoping for a little romance with Ethan, and many are simply enjoying the drama. My heart goes out to all of them. Now I'm sitting here wondering what you dear ladies thought when you saw it. Did Kate Mansi's words on X make you feel any differently about the scene? Are you hoping for friendship between Kristina and Ethan? Or are you secretly rooting for something more? Or maybe your eyes are on Jacinda and whatever might grow there. I'd love to hear your thoughts, because these stories feel even better when we share them with each other. They keep our hearts young and our afternoons interesting. Anyway, I better go refill my tea and get ready for whatever Port Charles decides to throw at us next. These characters have become like family after all this time, haven't they? I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow.